Breaking news, the Senate just voted to begin debate on the bipartisan stopgap bill, which would prevent a government shutdown. The bill would fund the government for 6 weeks and provide aid to Ukraine. Now, by rule, the Senate cannot vote to break the filibuster until Saturday, so an actual Senate vote on the bill would not take place until Saturday night or even Sunday. And Saturday night is when the government runs out of time to stay operating and will shut down. Let's see what happens with lawmakers deciding to expedite the process. Meanwhile, even if that bill were to pass in the Senate, it faces totally stiff resistance in the House, and it looks more and more likely that Americans will have to face a government shutdown in fewer than 2 days and 8 hours. Joining us now, Texas Congressman Jodey Arrington. He serves as the House Budget Committee chair. Please tell us what is the very latest, Congressman. What's going on? Are we any closer to any kind of compromise?
Well, I can tell you the Senate's bill is going to just rubber stamp the Schumer-Pelosi funding of last year, along with the Schumer-Pelosi policy. So they're not going to rein in the spending that's driving our cost of living crisis. And here's the real insult, especially to folks in border states like Texas. There is no funding to do anything about the worst national security crisis and most imminent threat to the safety of our citizens, and that's the disaster at our southern border. So that's dead on arrival. Republicans have an opportunity to use the power of the purse and work together on some internal Republican compromise that will get us that Ronald Reagan 80-20 on the price tag, on the policies, and then put it over on Chuck Schumer's lap to answer the question. Do you want to keep the border wide open or shut the government down? Do you want to rein in the spending or do you want to shut the government down? But Republicans have to get a unified funding package over the, across the transom and over to the Senate to make that happen. And we're still working feverishly to make that happen the next couple of days.
Well, when you say Republicans, there are different echelons of Republicans, are there not, Congressman Arrington? In fact, a letter was just delivered to Kevin McCarthy, I want to say about 42 minutes ago, and it is signed by the Freedom Caucus, and they say, "Dear Speaker McCarthy, we need the following information provided right away. What is the plan to address the public and the issues threatening final passage of the 4 appropriations bills being considered on the House floor? What is the schedule for the other bills?" And all they're talking about is those things. They are not understanding or perhaps acknowledging what Speaker McCarthy would like to see himself, and that is sides coming together and governing.
There are legitimate and principled views across the board in our conference, and it is a very diverse conference of independent thinkers, and those concerns are related to the process, like what was written in that letter, and why can't we get all of the funding bills done on time so we can vote on all 12, and why would we consider a continuing resolution, because that's just accepting the status quo and the broken budget process. But I would respond to that by saying, by just extending the time frame for a few weeks with 20% cuts and border security measures and putting that over at the feet of the Democrats in the Senate for them to answer that question, I think this is a very different scenario than some clean CR. And then there are policy questions and concerns, and there are price tag concerns, all legitimate. But at the end of the day, all those principles are really academic if we don't achieve any conservative outcomes. We have to deliver results, and the only way that happens is if we unify, if we push through, and we don't let perfect be the enemy of good, and we put it over there again in the court of our Democrat colleagues.
Well, there are reports that in the past hour and a half, I want to say, that Matt Gaetz, the Republican congressman, just had behind the closed doors, I don't want to say screaming match, but it got very tense with Speaker McCarthy. When you have some members of Congress who are absolutely intransigent, I mean, if the Democrats were to come forward and say, all right, we will secure the border, but you guys got to greenlight some money for Ukraine, would that be enough? You yourself do not want to see a government shutdown, do you?
I don't want to see a government shutdown because Republicans can't rally around a unified funding package that roots out the woke and waste at the Pentagon, that holds this administration accountable for the lawlessness at the border. Yes, I don't want that to happen, but I can tell you this, and there are plenty of other Texans and other members of my Republican conference in the House. If we give our funding package to the Senate and they return it without any border security measures, that is also dead on arrival. And as I've said before, what good is funding a federal government if it won't do its first and most important job, which is protecting the American people and providing a common defense?
Congressman, please join us back. Who knows what's going to happen in the next 48 hours, but we'll be on the air. You will be there. And so please make sure to dip back in with us. We need to hear what's going on. Thank you.
God bless.